You ever notice how the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest one? The one always trying to prove something, always reacting, always needing the last word. That used to be me. Until I realized real strength doesn't show up loud, it shows up calm. Real confidence doesn't need to fight for attention. It sits still in the middle of chaos and says, I'm good. See, there's a kind of power in learning to act as if nothing bothers you. Not because you don't care, but because you've grown past needing to react to every little thing. The truth is, people and problems only have as much power as you give them. When you stop reacting, you start controlling. You start protecting your peace instead of constantly defending it. And I know, it's not easy. When someone disrespects you, when life throws shade, when rumors start flying, it's natural to want to fight back, to explain, to prove your worth. But that's exactly what drains you. Every time you react, you hand over your energy, your focus, your peace. You teach the world how to push your buttons. So this isn't about pretending you don't feel pain or frustration. It's about mastering your emotions enough to choose peace over pride. Because the moment you stop letting things bother you, that's when you rise. That's when you start walking with quiet power. And that quiet power, it's louder than anything chaos can say. Control your reactions and you control your power. That's not just a statement, it's a shift in how you move through life. Because the truth is, life will always test you. People will always test you. Every day you'll be given opportunities to react, to prove, to defend, to argue, to fight for something that maybe doesn't even deserve your energy. But the moment you understand that not every battle is worth your response, that's when you start growing into a version of yourself that can't be shaken by noise. Most people live in reaction. They wake up reacting to messages, reacting to moods, reacting to the opinions of people who don't even know their story. They spend their days being controlled by things outside of them and then wonder why they feel powerless. But the person who learns to pause, to breathe, to choose instead of react, that person becomes unshakable. Rev, there's something deeply powerful about self-control. It's not loud. It's not about showing people how strong you are. It's about knowing that your peace, your focus, your energy are too valuable to be thrown at every distraction that passes by. The moment you realize that your reaction determines your direction, everything changes. Because reactions aren't just emotions, they're choices. Every time you react, you decide what kind of energy you carry forward. You decide what kind of person you're becoming. Are you the person who gets pulled into every storm, or the one who stays calm while everything else spins? When you can't control what's happening around you, your reaction is the only thing left that you can control. And that's where your real power lives. It's easy to stay calm when everything's peaceful. But when someone disrespects you, when life hits you with something unfair, when your patience gets tested, that's when your control matters most. Because if you can stay centered in chaos, you've already won something most people never master. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally intelligent enough to know when to engage and when to walk away. Power doesn't come from dominance. It comes from discipline. Think about the moments in your life where you lost control. When you said something out of anger, when you reacted out of fear, when you let someone's words dictate your mood. Every one of those moments came with a cost. It cost you your peace. It cost you your energy. Sometimes it even cost you your dignity. But when you hold your response, when you choose calm instead of chaos, you keep your power where it belongs. In your hands, because people can say whatever they want, but they can't make you react. They can try to trigger you, but your silence, your composure, that's your weapon. That's your strength. And you start to realize that reacting to everything is a form of giving permission. Every time you respond emotionally, you're letting the world know how to control you. But when you learn to observe instead of absorb, you change the game. You start responding with intention instead of impulse. And when you move with intention, you become unpredictable. People can't manipulate someone who isn't reactive. They can't throw you off balance when your peace is anchored within you. That's what power feels like. It's calm, it's quiet, it's controlled. It doesn't need to prove anything. The most confident people you'll ever meet are the ones who aren't easily moved. They don't need to clap back. They don't need to explain. They don't need to show you they're right. They know who they are. And that self-acknowledge creates a level of control that nothing external can shake. You start realizing that your emotional stability isn't just a trait, it's a skill. And every time you resist reacting, you're training that skill. You're building emotional muscle. You're teaching yourself that you are not a slave to your emotions. You are the master of them. There's a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is instinctive. It's driven by emotion, ego, fear. Responding is intentional. It's driven by awareness, control, and confidence. The person who reacts quickly often regrets quickly, but the person who pauses before responding never loses control. That pause, that breath, that silence, it's where wisdom grows. It's where clarity. Because when you stop letting emotions make decisions for you, you start making decisions that protect your growth. And that's when you realize how rare real control is. Control isn't about being cold or detached. It's about knowing that your emotions serve you, not the other way around. It's about being able to feel everything without letting it define you. You can feel anger without becoming angry. You can feel hurt without becoming bitter. You can feel disappointment without becoming discouraged. That's emotional mastery. That's control. Because the strongest version of you isn't the one that fights every battle. It's the one that walks away knowing peace is worth more than proving a point. People will try to pull you into their chaos, and the moment you refuse, they'll call you distant, detached, or cold. But what they're really saying is they can't control you anymore. You've outgrown the level where other people's opinions define your reactions. You've learned that control isn't about them, it's about you. You can't stop the storm, but you can stop letting it blow through your mind. You can't stop people from talking, but you can stop listening. You can't stop what life throws at you, but you can stop throwing your peace away trying to fight it. The person who controls their reaction controls their direction. Because emotions can make you blind, they can make you act in ways that go against who you really are. But control clears your vision. It lets you see what matters, what's worth your time, and what's simply noise. You learn that every reaction has a cost, and if the cost is your peace, it's too expensive. You learn to sit in uncomfortable moments without lashing out, to walk away without guilt, to choose silence when noise is all around you. And in that silence, in that control, you find a freedom that no one can take. You stop chasing closure from people who never cared. You stop arguing with people who only want to drain you. You stop trying to fix situations that were never meant to be fixed. Instead, you focus on mastering yourself. You learn that the real victory isn't in winning arguments. It's in not needing to argue at all. The real strength isn't in clapping back. It's in staying unbothered. The real growth isn't in proving you're right. It's in knowing your peace is more valuable than being right. Every reaction you don't give is a statement of strength. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you're reminding yourself that your emotions are your responsibility, not anyone else's playground. You start realizing that peace isn't passive, it's power restrained. It's knowing you could react, but you choose not to. It's knowing you could speak, but silence speaks louder. And when you live in that kind of discipline, you stop being controlled by what happens to you and start being defined by how you handle it. Because control isn't something you find, it's something you build. Every moment you hold back from reacting, you're building it. Every situation that tests your patience is a workout for your strength. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. You'll notice that things that used to bother you no longer reach you. People who used to trigger you no longer shake you. That's not detachment, that's evolution. You're not becoming colder, you're becoming wiser. You're not ignoring your emotions, you're mastering them. The truth is, emotional control is a form of self-respect. When you let anything pull you out of your peace, you're telling yourself that the world has more control over you than you do. But when you stay grounded, when you keep your energy calm, you're telling yourself that you are in charge. That no matter what happens, you decide how it affects you. And that's what makes you powerful. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Because once you control your reaction, you control your power. Silence is not weakness, it's emotional mastery. Most people don't understand that silence isn't about not having something to say, it's about having the wisdom to know when words are wasted. We live in a world where everyone wants to be heard, everyone wants to prove, everyone wants to defend their side of the story. But the truth is, silence speaks louder than any argument ever could. It's a language only the disciplined understand. It's the space between chaos and clarity where you decide what truly deserves your energy. Because silence isn't emptiness, it's control. It's the ability to say, I don't need to react to everything that tries to get my attention. And that's power. The loudest voice isn't always the strongest one. The strongest person is the one who doesn't need to speak to be understood. They carry a calm that makes people listen without a single word. Because silence is confidence without performance. It's peace without explanation. It's the moment when you stop trying to convince anyone and start living in your truth. You realize that your energy is sacred. And every time you speak out of anger, out of pride, out of pain, you leak that energy. But when you stay silent, you protect it. You keep your power contained, focused, unshaken. It takes strength to hold your tongue when your ego is screaming to speak. It takes maturity to stay calm when someone tries to pull you into their drama. It takes wisdom to know that not every attack deserves a defense. Silence doesn't mean you're okay with what's happening. It means you've decided not to let it disturb your peace. You've learned that reacting gives the situation life and silence starves it. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not give people what they expect. They expect a reaction, a response, an explosion, but you give them nothing. And in that nothing, you take back control. You start to realize that silence isn't passive, it's strategic. It's not about ignoring what's wrong, it's about refusing to add fuel to the fire. When you argue with someone who doesn't want to understand you, you waste your breath. When you explain yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you, you waste your peace. Silence saves both. And when people can't get a reaction from you, they start to lose their hold on you. They start to realize that your calm isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the kind of strength that can't be faked because it's built from self-awareness, from discipline, from knowing that your peace is worth more than being right. Silence teaches you patience. It teaches you how to sit with your emotions without letting them speak for you. It teaches you how to feel everything but still choose peace. It's not about bottling up emotions. It's about managing them. Because emotions are powerful, but only when you control them. When they control you, they destroy you. Silence gives you space to think, to breathe, to process, to respond with clarity instead of chaos. It gives you time to align your reaction with your values, not your ego. It's the pause that separates wisdom from impulse. There's a kind of peace that comes when you no longer need to explain yourself. You realize that not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Not every situation needs your voice. Sometimes the best response is to let your actions speak because silence has a way of exposing what noise tries to cover. When you stay quiet, people reveal themselves. The truth rises without your help. And you learn that silence is not the absence of strength. It's the presence of discipline. Saying, I could speak, but I choose not to, that's not weakness. That's power under control. We've been taught to think that silence means surrender, that quiet means fear, that if you don't defend yourself, you're being walked over. But silence is the opposite of surrender. It's command. Because the one who can stay calm while others panic, who can stay quiet while others shout, is the one who controls the room. You don't need to raise your voice when your presence already speaks volume. You don't need to prove your worth when your peace proves it for you. You don't need to defend your truth when time always reveals what noise tries to hide. Sometimes silence is the best way to show people that they no longer have access to your emotions. When you stop explaining, stop arguing, stop giving them your energy, they lose the ability to affect you. You stop feeding their chaos, and suddenly their power fades because silence disarms. It confuses, it exposes. When people can't get a reaction, they start questioning their own behavior. They start realizing that they can't touch you the way they used to. And that's how you protect your peace. By not playing the game, by not meeting chaos with chaos, by choosing stillness instead of struggle. The mature version of you learns that silence isn't about being quiet. It's about being selective. It's knowing when to speak and when to let silence carry the message. You learn that you don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth, your boundaries, or your peace. You don't have to prove that you've changed. The way you move in silence will show it, because true transformation doesn't announce itself. It just becomes undeniable. The quieter you get, the more people start noticing you're calm. The more you pull back, the more your energy becomes rare. And that rarity becomes power. People who are loud about everything often reveal their insecurity. They need to be seen. They need to be heard. They need validation. But the person who's learnt silence doesn't need validation. They are already enough. They don't need the world's approval because they've already made peace with who they are. And that's a kind of confidence that no noise can shake. Because when you know yourself, when you know your worth, you stop chasing acknowledgement and you start walking in quiet assurance. Silence becomes your armor, your statement, your shield. There's a difference between silence out of fear and silence out of power. Fear keeps you quiet because you don't know what to say. Power keeps you quiet because you know you don't have to. That's emotional mastery. It's not that you don't feel anger or pain. You just don't let those feelings control your behavior. You've learned to rise above the impulse to react. You've learned to protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Every word you speak is energy. Every reaction is an investment. And silence is how you choose where your energy goes. Silence also teaches you detachment, the ability to separate yourself from things that don't serve your peace. It allows you to observe without absorbing, to listen without being moved, because not everything that demands your attention deserves it. The world will always have something to say, but that doesn't mean you have to answer. Silence creates distance between what's happening and how you choose to feel about it. It's the space that keeps your emotions in check. It's where you remind yourself that peace is a decision, not a condition. There's a quiet confidence that grows inside you when you stop chasing responses. You stop explaining why you did what you did, why you walked away, why you changed. You stop giving people access to your peace through your words. You start realizing that silence is your boundary. It's how you say, I'm done explaining myself to people who are committed to misunderstanding me. It's how you say, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. And that kind of silence, the silence of self-assurance, is unshakable. The world often mistakes silence for weakness because it doesn't understand self-control. But silence doesn't mean you're backing down. It means you've already won the inner battle. You've already decided that your peace matters more than your pride. You've already accepted that your time and energy are too valuable to waste proving a point. Silence is what happens when you stop being reactive and start being intentional. It's when you stop being driven by emotion and start being guided by clarity. And once you start living in that silence, you realize it's not emptiness, it's peace amplified. You'll notice that your silence makes people uncomfortable. They'll try to provoke you. They'll try to pull a reaction out of you because your calm disrupts their chaos. They can't figure out why you're so unbothered. They can't stand that they no longer have control over your emotions. But that's exactly how silence works. It protects your energy and exposes theirs. It reveals who's trying to manipulate you, who's trying to drain you, and who's trying to disturb your peace. And when you see that clearly, you stop engaging altogether. Silence also deepens your connection with yourself. When you stop talking so much, you start listening, really listening to your own thoughts, your own intuition, your own truth. You hear what's real beneath all the noise. You start understanding what you need, what you value, what you should walk away from. You learn that peace isn't found in fixing everything around you. It's found in calming everything within you. And silence becomes the tool that helps you build that peace every single day. There's a rare kind of strength that comes when you no longer feel the need to respond to everything. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's knowing that your energy is too sacred to be scattered in unnecessary battles. You understand that silence isn't a lack of response, it's a controlled one. It's you saying, I've mastered the moment by refusing to let it master me. Because silence is not weakness, it's emotional mastery. Protect your peace, not your pride. That line sounds simple, but it will change the way you see yourself and the world around you. Because too many of us are out here fighting battles that are only feeding our ego. We defend our pride like it's oxygen, but we let our peace suffocate in the process. We stay in arguments just to be right. We chase closure from people who've already showed us who they are. We explain ourselves to those who've already made up their minds. And in doing so, we give away the very thing we're trying to protect, our inner calm. There comes a point when you have to decide what's more important, proving your point or preserving your peace. Pride wants to win the moment. Peace wants to win your life. You see, pride is loud. It demands attention. It wants validation. It needs to be seen. But peace is quiet. It's strong, steady, grounded. Pride will push you into conflict that your peace will have to clean up. Pride says they can't talk to me like that. Peace says they can say whatever they want. It doesn't change who I am. Pride reacts, peace responds. Pride wants to dominate, peace wants to understand. And the moment you start protecting your peace, you stop letting pride dictate your energy. You realize that not every insult deserves a comeback. Not every misunderstanding needs a speech. Not every situation needs to be fixed. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is just walk away, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know that peace is more valuable than being right. Protecting your peace means you stop showing up to every argument you're invited to. It means you stop giving people the power to dictate how you feel. It means you stop explaining your boundaries to people who are determined to cross them. It's realizing that sometimes silence is the best revenge and distance is the best response, because your peace is sacred and anything that costs you that peace is too expensive. You can rebuild your pride later, but when peace is gone, everything around you starts to fall apart. Your focus, your happiness, your energy, your purpose. Protecting your peace is protecting your power. The truth is, pride is rooted in insecurity. It's the voice that says, I can't let them think they won. But when you're really at peace, you don't care who thinks they won. You've reached a point where you understand that other people's opinions don't define your truth. You no longer need to prove anything because you've outgrown the need for approval. And that's when you start to live free. That's when you realize that your peace doesn't come from being understood. It comes from understanding yourself. There's a kind of strength that comes from knowing you could argue, but you don't. You could defend yourself, but you don't. You could explain yourself, but you choose not to because you understand that peace doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need to win. It just needs to exist. And when you start valuing peace more than pride, you stop losing yourself in the noise. You stop letting your emotions run the show. You stop trading your calm for the satisfaction of the last word, because that satisfaction fades fast, but the loss of peace lingers. Protecting your peace means you start paying attention to your energy. You notice how certain conversations leave you drained, how certain people disturb your spirit, how certain environments make you anxious. And instead of trying to change those things, you change your access to them. You stop forcing yourself to stay where your peace can't breathe. You learn to leave, to step back, to choose quiet over chaos, because not everything deserves a reaction and not everyone deserves access to your heart. Peace isn't found in controlling others, it's found in controlling yourself. Pride is reactive. It thrives on the need to be seen as right. It will convince you to argue even when it's pointless, to prove your worth to people who will never see it, to seek closure from those who already closed the door. But peace whispers, let it go. It teaches you to walk away with your dignity intact, to stop explaining your silence, to stop trying to fix what's already broken. Because peace knows that not every ending needs to make sense right now. Sometimes walking away quietly is the loudest message you can send. You can't protect your peace if you're always trying to protect your image. You can't find peace if your happiness depends on what others think. Pride builds walls. Peace builds freedom. Pride says they'll regret how they treated me. Peace says, I hope they find healing, but I'm moving on. Pride wants control. Peace wants release. The deeper you go into your healing, the more you start to recognize how often pride got in the way of your growth. You see how many times you stayed in chaos just to prove you were strong. But real strength is knowing when to step back, when to say nothing, when to protect your energy, even if it looks like you're losing, because peace doesn't need to win. It just needs to last. Protecting your peace doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying everything. You stop letting small things become heavy burdens. You stop letting other people's opinions live rent-free in your mind. You stop trying to fix what isn't yours to fix. It's about choosing your battles wisely and letting go of the ones that only drain you. It's understanding that your mental and emotional space is limited and not everything deserves to live there. You start prioritizing your calm like your life depends on it, because it does. You'll notice that when you start protecting your peace, people will call you distant, cold, or selfish. But what they're really saying is they no longer have access to your energy. They can't drain you the way they used to. They can't manipulate your emotions anymore. And that's a good thing, because peace is personal. It's not meant to please everyone. You're not supposed to shrink yourself so others feel comfortable in your calm. Protecting your peace sometimes means disappointing others, but it always means staying true to yourself. When you let go of pride, you stop fighting for attention and start fighting for alignment. You stop trying to be understood and start trying to stay balanced. You stop arguing with people who only want to win, not understand. Pride may get applause, but peace gets rest. And rest is what your soul has been craving all along, because the real flex isn't showing people you're right. It's showing people you're unbothered. It's walking through chaos with a calm heart and saying, I'm not here to win. I'm here to stay at peace. Protecting your peace also means forgiving, not for them, but for you. Because holding grudges might satisfy your pride, but it poisons your peace. Pride says, they don't deserve my forgiveness. Peace says, I deserve my freedom. Forgiveness doesn't make what happened right. It just releases you from being tied to it. And that's what peace is. It's freedom from what no longer serves you. You can't walk into your next season still dragging the weight of who hurt you. You can't elevate while holding on to things that lower your spirit. Letting go doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise enough to protect what matters. Pride will make you chase closure. Peace will make you accept that sometimes silence is closure. Pride will make you explain why you left. Peace will make you walk away without saying a word. Pride will have you fighting for your reputation. Peace will remind you that your truth doesn't need defending, because peace doesn't need to prove. It just needs to protect. And the moment you stop letting pride control your decisions, you start living in alignment with who you really are. You start understanding that the greatest luxury in life isn't money or success, it's a calm mind. Peace feels like breathing again after holding your breath for too long. It feels like finally letting go of the need to control everything. It feels like realizing that your power doesn't come from being right. It comes from being free. Protecting your peace means choosing yourself over your ego, your calm over your control, your growth over your validation. It's when you stop chasing reactions and start chasing peace of mind. And the more you protect that peace, the stronger you become. Because once you taste calm, chaos loses its appeal. You'll start seeing how unnecessary most conflicts really are. How many times you fought to be right when you could have just chosen peace? How many arguments weren't about truth, but about pride? How many moments of peace were sacrificed for temporary satisfaction? And then you'll realize nothing is worth your peace. No argument, no relationship, no opinion. Because peace is what keeps you grounded. It's what keeps you sane. It's what keeps you becoming. Protect your peace, not your pride. Because pride may make you look strong for a moment, but peace makes you stay strong for a lifetime. Pride breaks relationships, peace builds them. Pride burns bridges, peace keeps them intact. Pride exhausts you, peace restores you. And the more you live from peace, the more you start to see how small pride really is. You start to see how most of the battles you thought you needed to fight were never about your worth, they were about your wounds. And healing those wounds means learning to choose calm even when your pride wants chaos. When you finally choose peace over pride, you stop needing to win arguments and start winning your life back. You stop needing to control people and start controlling your energy. You stop needing to be understood and start understanding yourself. That's the power of peace. It doesn't scream as a demand. It doesn't chase. It just stands still and says, I'm not fighting for attention. I'm fighting for alignment. And once you learn that, no matter what comes your way, your peace will always be your greatest defense.